Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Push with Nick and KP. We are here to do the Wrestlepalooza Reactions video, which took place on September 20th, 2025 in Indianapolis, Indiana. As mentioned, this is the first, if you hadn't heard this 3,000 times already, this is the first ESPN WWE PLE, and we got I liked it quite a bit actually. The intro package kind of showing off that wrestling is very much a form of entertainment and kind of blurring that lines once again between sports and entertainment. I think that's kind of always been a topic of discussion. And I really like that the way we kicked off this kind of first ESPN partnership, if you will, with WWE. And so I really like that aspect of it. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the opening match of the night, which has John Cena in his sixth to last final appearance. So after this, we have 5 appearances left for John Cena. And yeah, this match pretty standard, I think. If you look at the history of these two guys, very much kind of what you would expect. I think the only really question to the outcome here was who was going to win. With John Cena being so close to the end of his line, would he just kind of win out, or would we see something different here? So KP, let us know what you thought of this opening match for WrestlePalooza, our very first. Now that I say it like that, it makes sense why this one led off, because it was the first ESPN WWE match. So it makes sense that these two guys ended up kicking off the show. I thought they might main event. But what did you think of the match overall? And of course, give us your rating here on this one.
Well, I don't really have much to say because there isn't really much to talk about with our opening matchup. But what I will say is that this is an absolute waste of a program for John Cena in literally what is the last like 7 or 8 dates, I think, probably from the start of this whole thing. In his last ever year. I can't really fathom it. It doesn't make any sense to me. There could have been so many other people that could have filled the bill for this segment, and he could have had a match with people that he's never had before, or maybe run back with somebody else. Could have put on a decent contest with them, but instead we got that absolute waste of time that was last night. And not for me. Just what a waste, what a shame, what a shambles. I guess the only solace is that I'm glad it didn't main event, but it is what it is, I suppose, right? You can't really talk too much about it because it was one-sided traffic for the whole entire time, and that's basically about it. I'd give it a 0.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I think that might be the lowest rating we've ever gotten from you, but I can't say I disagree. It is very much kind of par for the course what we see from John Cena's opponent. One of the reasons why you and I, never cared for him, even way back in when he first started his kind of part-time status, definitely has never been a favorite of ours. More kind of piled on to that sense. So yeah. Yeah, just there's a reason why we don't like it and the matches he's involved in, and to kind of bury Cena this way, so close to the end of his career. We've seen this play out before. Very very similar aspects too. Yeah, it's a questionable decision. I am sure if anyone can kind of make it work, it will be Cena. Um, but yeah, this was a questionable decision, I think. It'll be interesting to see how WWE kind of rebounds from this, or Cena rebounds from this. Outside of the entrance here, I didn't see anything that I really cared much for. Um, yeah, they sold Cena's opponent as a monster, which was something that's not something new either, though. So I didn't quite give it as low as you did, which again I do think that is the lowest rating we've ever gotten from you. But I did give it a 2 out of 10, which on our Mania broadcast we've been doing lately, that is the kind of starting if you have a match at all. That's usually what we give. And maybe I should have given it less, but even that obviously is very, very low for a modern day PLE. So let's swiftly move on to the next match, which has the reunited Usos, Jimmy and Jay, going up against Bron and Bronson of Division, with special guest referee LA Knight, which very much plays a big part of this match. And I thought quite nicely. I thought kind of, we had mentioned on the predictions video that uh, we would probably see some sort of interference here. LA Knight was obviously at the top of that list. I think this was a great way to kind of involve him, but still allow us to have a good match, and not our standard someone interferes, as we often do with anything that involves division. So, KP, what you make of this tag match? Very, very much better, much better than the last match. I think we can agree to that. But yeah, I thought they had a lot of right notes here. What did you make of it, and what was your rating for this one?
Yeah, they did hit a lot of right notes because this was a really fun matchup. This did exactly everything it needed to do. It got four guys who are involved in a pretty big story at the moment. Regarding just the general state of the vision, everything that's been going around the world title scene, and alas, everything around it afterwards. But yeah, LA Knight as a special guest referee happened during the pre-show, I believe, the countdown show. Yeah, that added a nice little spice to the mix. We expect them to be involved, like you said, but this was a great way of just having him involved, but in a in a constant sort of you know uh decent manner, I guess. And it's just his leniency throughout the contest allowed it to really shine, like a lot more than it probably would have done. So yeah, it definitely was a bit more lax than obviously the average referee, being able to sort of like just get weapons implemented into the match with no real or dire consequences. Yeah, that added a nice bit of intrigue to the contest, because it made me think throughout it, like, what's Knight going to do here? Is he going to like screw anybody? Is he going to get fed up and is he going to use one of the weapons himself and attack someone? Or what is he going to really do with about this match? And that added a level of intrigue. There were moments throughout where him and the guys had some run-ins, especially with him and Jey Uso. In the end of the match, we get Bron spearing both Usos through a table that was set up at the corner of the ring. You can just see it down there in the bottom pictures. So yeah, they would get speared into that table, and Bron would then just sort of like drag Jey Uso into the middle of the ring. That would be an opportunity for Bronson Reed to hit a tsunami onto Jey and to get the victory. But yeah, this was fun. This was high pace. It was pretty back and forth, to be fair. There was a lot going on, so it was hard to keep up with at times. But yeah, just the general sort of lack of leniency, just the general sort of leniency from LA Knight allowed this one to really shine and sparkle more than it probably would have done. So yeah, just it added that next level of intensity, which is what it really, really needed with these four guys, right? It's quite heated, so ultimately that's how it had to be. But I think we do sort of get like a couple more hints of LA Knight and Jey Uso not really being on the same page, and that can keep on going, perhaps going forward. Jay busting himself open was quite interesting. I think he hits. I can't remember who he hits. Well, either Bron or Bronson with a chair, and it like bounces back up onto his face and actually just generally busts him open to one of the legs that like catches his forehead. It's quite crazy, really. Just like a just random happenstance of what occurred. But yeah, you could tell that these guys were just able just to really go at it in this one. They put on a really fun matchup. I had a great time watching it. I gave it an 8 out of 10. And like I said, I think just there's more to be taken from this. LA Knight and Jey Uso, they don't seem to be done. The Vision looking strong, which I think ultimately is very important. They need to do so. I'm really hoping now that we get Bron and Bronson going into the tag team division. I think they're ready to go. They've proven that they can work together as a team. They're dominant, and what better way than to put some tag team gold around their waist and just to let them run with it. So, because let's be fair, at the moment the tag team division on Raw, it is pretty poor. These two being officially part of it and being the tag team champions, I think it's got to be done. Give them the belts. That's what I'm going to say. But yeah, 8 out of 10. I thought it was a really good matchup. I had a lot of fun watching it.
KP, you mentioned a tag division on Raw. I'm not sure I know what you mean. But regardless, yeah, this checked all the boxes really. And it was as you kind of already hit, LA Knight being in here to allow everyone kind of to go Essentially, making this a no rules match, I thought, was great. Usos looked great. It was great to see them back together. I think adding them as well as division to that tag division would very much ramp it back up. The only issue I see with the division, Braun and Bronson getting those tag titles, I don't know who would take it from them. But I don't think a long reign for those belts would be doing any harm. And of course, not only a long reign, but one where we actually see it being defended on a consistent basis, I think are all great strides in the right direction. But yeah, I thought LA Knight kind of seemed to seemingly moved on from his beef with the Vision and kind of more focused on Jay, which is interesting. Being the LA Knight wanted that title. Probably set by design, obviously, but still, in logic, LA Knight's like, okay, now I want Jay. So it's interesting. I think it could be a fun feud. But I think clearly that was one of the big takeaways here is it was more so about LA Knight and Jey Uso. The Vision obviously booked strong here as always, but seeing them in a match that kind of got some time and wasn't super predictable is always nice. Forget that that's a possibility. Um, yeah, tons of great spots here. Yeah, I had to rewind it a bit because I didn't quite see where Jay got busted open, and I'm still not 100% sure if that was intentional or not. Um, but if it was intentional, it did feel like there wasn't a ton of use for it because it was very, very, very close to the end of the match. But that being said, outside of the double spear spot with him being busted open, that's a pretty cool image as seen there. And just the double spear in general. I don't think it really needed it, but the double spear through the tables of both Usos from Braun Breaker, just add that to the list of awesome spears from Braun Breaker. We're gonna have a compilation video in the very short future and a very close future that's going to be awesome. And one day, when we see the entire career of Braun, I have a feeling this one might be on it. He always has some pretty cool spots. But yeah, really enjoyed this one. Really nothing negative really to say about it at all. Got plenty of time, and everyone looked good. So I too gave this one an 8 out of 10. But yeah, the result very much as we thought it would be from the predictions video. Moving on to the next match, which has iyosky going up against Stephanie Vaquer for that vacant Women's World Championship. We had tons of expectations for this one. KP, did it live up to those expectations, and what were your rating?
Well, firstly, yes, I think it did live up to the expectations. And secondly, wasn't it just great to see these two have a match with no BS interference, whatever, at the end, ending in a no contest? Just these two are allowed to sort of just go at it and have a really, really, really good match. Yeah, I thought this was the match of the night, and I absolutely loved it. Both women just showcasing their complete arsenal and just what they're completely capable of. And yeah, it was just a joy to watch. The vacant Women's World Championship, it felt like a big match. This should have been the main event in my eyes. I think it had every right to be so. I think you could maybe argue that the build wasn't quite enough to be the main event, and perhaps that's the only reason as to why it probably wasn't. But yeah, I still even without that, I would have still put it as the main event, because you put these two in the ring, you're going to get a solid match as a minimum. So, and that's exactly what it was. This was a whole lot of fun to watch. Stephanie and Io just showcasing why they are two of the absolute best in the women's wrestling at the moment in the entirety of the world, really. But yeah, I got a lot of good stuff to say, because this is essentially where the good stuff tends to sort of slow down now. But with Io and Steph in this match, they have a very big amount of respect towards each other, and they basically just build off of that. There's no animosity between the two women. It's just two top stars putting all of it in the ring and just doing what they can to put on the greatest match that they can possibly deliver at this point. And it did everything it needed to do. It had a little bit of storytelling throughout the contest. We had iyosky, with her knee, and that seemed to be the big direction that sort of led to the finish. iyosky sort of like been targeted by Stephanie Vaquer on a couple of occasions via a dragon screw, and that would sort of allow for Steph to sort of take control on a couple of occasions. Io eventually, looking for the bullet train in the corner, where it's the double knees maneuver. She would take her knee pads down, sliding them down so they expose the knee. And although that probably would have helped her out in that particular moment, she went for it over the moonsault a few moments later, and she would end up missing it. So obviously, when you go over the moonsault, you're going to land on your stomach and your knees. And obviously, with her exposed knees, that's going to cause a large detriment to herself. Already been targeted throughout the matchup. Io was in a lot of pain after going for that move and missed it. That allows Stephanie to hit what I want to say is one of the absolutely most beautiful finishers that I've probably seen in wrestling. This was absolutely picture perfect. If you haven't seen it, then just go back and just find it and watch it. It is absolutely mesmerizing. Just the way that she does it is a perfect way to win your first women's championship on main roster. Let's put it that way, because it was something special. We've seen her do it so many times in the past. It's sort of like an inverted spiral tap, but it is quality, absolutely breathtaking to watch her do it. But this was just literally perfect, and yeah, it was a great way to end the matchup as well. So yeah, very back and forth, very just catered around just sort of the scales just tipping one way and the other throughout the entirety of the match. And yeah, just was a joy and a pleasure to watch, really. I gave it a 9 out of 10. Extremely happy for Stephanie Vaquer to get the victory in this one as well. I said in the podcast leading up to this one, iyosky, she's had the world championship before this year, obviously, and she had a great run with it then. But this is a great opportunity to just to push Stephanie straight up there, and to attach a rocket to her. I'm really, really happy for her, because she deserves all of this, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how good this reign's going to be. If we know anything about La Primera, is that she's going to absolutely give it her all, and we should be in for a lot of fun with this one. So yeah, I'm keen, and congrats to Stephanie Vaquer, your new women's world champion.
Yeah, beautifully said. I won't repeat too much of what you said, but to avoid the redundancy there. But yeah, as you said in the predictions video, we thought this was a perfect opportunity. EO didn't really need it, but could certainly help kind of, lift off, if you will, for Stephanie. The build to this, yeah, I think short of a great build, this could very well have been the main event and should have, hindsight 2020. But yeah, we always knew, there's a reason the expectations for this match were as high as they were. EO just masterclass in selling. And as you mentioned, that inverted spinal tap there at the end, just a thing of beauty. Yeah, I won't hit on this too much more, but this is a good reminder of, in 2025, why the women's division is so highly praised. We hadn't, I will say we haven't really seen that kind of breakout match from Vaquer on main roster. We've seen a lot in NXT, but for the general audience that doesn't watch NXT on a routine basis, maybe still kind of wondering, well, what's the big deal outside of that one move that everybody loves? What can Vaquer do that really has me, interested to see what the future holds. I think this was that breakout match for Vaquer on main roster. And obviously a master class with none other than iyosky, who always seems to be involved in said type matches. But yeah, this is beautiful. I think I dare say a perfect start to Vaquer's reign. And yeah, I can't wait to see where they're going to go from here. I have to admit, KP, I thought the 9 was a bit low. I thought we'd get something a little higher from you. Especially the way you were hyping up the match. But yeah, definitely the highlight of the evening for me. And I did give this one a 10 out of 10. I just thought the only slight thing I could say was maybe we give this a bit more time to kind of heighten the drama towards the end. But in terms of storytelling and execution, perfection. Yeah, absolutely. Absolute masterclass. Let's move on to the next match, which was a pretty good match as well. This one had a lot of hype and was our, the other match that we thought we were both looking forward to most for the evening. This, of course, features ajlee and cmpunk going up against Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. Chaotic, I think, is a good way to describe this one. Jessica Carr had her work very much cut out for her in this one. KP, what'd you think? Is the right finish here? And I hate to say it, but our predictions were pretty accurate. And I think for all the reasons we thought the winners should be who they should be here, kind of watched that played out. So maybe a bit predictable, but did the match itself deliver? And what was your rating for this one?
Yeah, I'd say it was a bit predictable. I think when you put ajlee in a match, her first one in over a decade, to have her lose wouldn't be the best idea, would it now? So yeah, maybe a tad predictable in that sense. Warning, this could be controversial. I'm looking forward to talking about this one properly. This was chaotic. I had that written down in my notes as well. um, it started off rough, and then it was kind of rough in the middle, and then it was rough at the end. So I'm describing this match as rough. It was tough to watch. I'm not gonna lie. It was good, but at the same time, it was like, I don't know. It just had a weird feel to it. It was slow. It was sloppy. It was chaotic. It the amount of times ajlee would flail at people in this matchup as well. The referee just no longer caring about who's legal and who's not. I genuinely was watching to see who was legal at all times. Becky Lynch and ajlee were legal, and then cmpunk and Seth Rollins, they have they go for a, I think it's Seth going for a pin on Punk, as you can see there on the bottom corner. ajlee goes in for a stomp just to stop it, and then literally moments later, without any tags happening in ages, we then get a roles reverse, and ajlee is going for a cover on Becky Lynch, or vice versa, whichever it is. So literally, it's like the rules of the match no longer apply. The referee's lost complete control, it's just allowing anything to happen. There have been no sort of like counts. There have been no sort of like counts in terms of like keeping people out the ring or whatever. I feel like it was just completely lost. Like, yeah, sure, it allowed it to be more free and chaotic, which obviously makes for probably a better match. But I think when you break it down into just sort of like the general play of all things, you seem to lose a little bit of logic and sense when you are just allowing people just to pin willy nilly without tagging. So yeah, I don't know. I felt that was a little bit of a low point. And yeah, AJ looked decent, but I think you could sort of tell that she was a bit rusty, and that's fine. It'll come. After a decade, you're not going to expect somebody to be completely flawless when they come back in, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely fine to say. But yeah, just the way that she was flailing at Becky and Punk or whatever, it was very sloppy in parts. So yeah, I don't know. It showcased ajlee very well. She got a lot of time. The importance of her tagging in eventually, after being such a long time of waiting, that was a very big moment, and they did it pretty well, to be fair. But yeah, I think just once that had happened, and you go down another like 5, 7, or 8 minutes afterwards, then it goes on that really rough patch again. I don't know. It's a difficult one. It was good, but at the same time, it was like a car crash. And we've mentioned that a few times in recent videos that we've been working on. But this really, really was like that. It allowed both couples to, just work together and just to gel with the other couple. And I guess in that sense, that was really good. So there are a lot of good points to take from this, but at the same time, it's a difficult watch for me. So yeah, tad controversial, sure, but I just don't think this was very clean. It was all over the place, to be fair. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I'm probably going to be in the minority, but yeah, this was potentially a little bit of a letdown for me. I'm just being honest, saying my opinion. I think it could have been a lot better than it was, and what a crazy match it really turned out to be. I'd love to hear your reactions to that, Nick, and obviously what you think about it as well, because I think we're probably having the minority. But yeah, what did you make of it?
And your honest opinion is what we're after. I don't think we come on here and put on any front. We voice our opinions, and sometimes we they don't state our opinions at all because we don't care for the person. So that's what we're doing here, and that's we're both clearly very passionate about WWE, and so I think that's very apparent here. Yeah, I think you raised some good points. Obviously, my intro to the match was this that it was chaotic, and it absolutely was. I think like I said, Jessica Carr very much had her hands full with this one, and I think that you make a valid point in that it was, who was legal. I have no idea. Ask me who's legal when, I couldn't tell you. Um, but I just felt like this story was just bigger than in an actual match, and so the traditionalist perhaps in you, that needs the rules to be followed. I think we see that a lot with WWE, especially with considering on the match and kind of how the leniency of the refs. We've seen that since day one. We've watched WrestleMania 1 over the last month. We've very much seen how the refs very much pick and choose when it's appropriate to enforce the rules, and the commentary team kind of hit on that too. As towards the opening of the match, Punk and Rollins. Are out in the crowd, and the commentary team says, we're definitely going to see some leniency of rules, and that was an understatement, I think. I think that's fair to say. Yeah, it didn't bother me. I get your points, but it didn't bother me just because and again, Punk and AJ Lee aren't at the top of my all-time list. And so I wasn't like that wasn't AJ Lee's return wasn't why I was just gushing for this. I just thought the story that we've kind of been doing, and definitely one of the best builds, not saying a ton for this card, but definitely one of the best builds, and that we've seen in a while. And so I think just that and kind of the dynamic we've seen between these four, is why I was looking forward to it. And I thought they did a great job, like heel Becky and Seth here did a great job of selling it and making AJ, and Punk specifically AJ look as good as possible here. As you mentioned, it's been a long time, so this is always the best way to kind of bring them in. AJ was sitting on the sidelines for a very long time while Punk got the business end of Seth and Becky, and so that was this was I think a perfect way to kind of bring her back. And yeah, the windmills were a bit, yeah, they weren't for me. I knew exactly what you were saying before you even finished your sentence. Um, I think that part was a bit sloppy, but yeah, for whatever reason, the women kind of seem to, some women, I guess I should say, have an issue with that. I guess it's either that or like the random screaming when they attack someone. I don't quite love that, but regardless, I didn't feel like that took away from the match, I guess was my overall point. And I thought we had a lot of fun moments, like the stomp from AJ Lee on the Seth, and tons of illegal, if you will, between the men and the women. I thought were it's fun to see. It was something we don't see a ton. Seth and Becky were working that ref, um, even more so than she already was. Taking advantage of every single opportunity they could to kind of get the upper hand. So yeah, yeah, at least on this call, you are in the minority because for this podcast, I thought it was a ton of fun. And yeah, rules be damned, I had a good time with it. So I give this one a 9 out of 10, actually, which, pretty big difference for us considering we're usually pretty close, annoyingly so, a lot of times. We usually have a lot of same opinions. But yeah, I just thought this was fun. And I think this did a great job of doing exactly what we wanted it to do. And now Seth and AJ Lee both have legitimate claims to the titles of their opponents. So yeah, I thought this one hit all the right notes for me, albeit a bit chaotic. Moving on to the main event, kind of the opposite of chaos, if you will. We have Drew McIntyre going up against Cody Rhodes for that undisputed WWE Championship. Um, yeah, well, KP, this may be another one, a bit of a sour one for you. But what'd you make of the match? What were your takeaways, and of course your overall rating for this one?
Uh, Anticlimactic. That I think that's a great way of summarizing this match. The build, it seems to be pretty intense, I guess, between both men. Uh, with obviously Drew taking out Cody, and then the contract signing was obviously, it seems to be just business back to what it was after a few weeks apart. And yeah, they could have done something, a lot more than what they did here. I describe this match as the main event of a Friday Night SmackDown, and at the moment, that is absolutely not a good thing. Um, so yeah, I think this is a really big letdown. Like, it's not even just about the winner. Like, obviously, you know, I'm a much bigger fan of Drew than I am Cody, but removing that completely entirely out of this one, what did this match do? What did it actually offer here? What, Drew going for a Claymore like he did to Cody through the announce table, you know, a few weeks ago, going for that same thing again here, but not being allowed to do it because the referee got up in his face and stopped him from doing it. You know, okay, fair enough. You've got something to sort of like go by there, and you can sort of like maybe work that in going forward. But what else do you take from this? You can't really take anything else from it because besides that, it was a bog standard, average WWE Championship match. Didn't last that long. Didn't feel like it did anyway. And it just didn't really build into something big, you know, during the match. It just felt like it was going through the motions. Honestly, it was kind of boring, and it just, yeah, it didn't really do anything at all. Like, it was just basic, really, really basic between both men. And yeah, just the way it ended, Cody hitting a crossroads, getting the job done, 1, 2, 3. Just felt like, I don't know, just maybe WWE's way of screwing Drew McIntyre over again, it's just with a creative decision. I don't know. I just did nothing for me. I just watched it. It was over, and I was like, all right, well, that's that then. Like, you know, nothing's changed. It's exactly the same as what it was. So, yeah, I don't know. We go into this, well, we come out of this no further forth than we were going into it. So, for me, that's a bit of a L. And yeah, it didn't really do much in the matchup itself. It was just two men, you know, going through their basic motions, hitting what they can do, and just putting on an absolutely average contest. So I gave it a 6 out of 10, purely for the fact that, you know, we had a little small bit potentially going forward with Drew McIntyre and that official. I don't know if they don't play on that one. You know, maybe it doesn't even deserve to be a 6. But yeah, that's what I gave it. What did you think?
Yeah, so going from the chaotic mixed tag match where the ref lets anything happen, to this match where the ref is butting in unnecessarily so. Barrett obviously hit on that quite a bit, and you know, also had me questioning if that was the friendship between Barrett and Drew maybe coming into play there, the history, if you will. Um, you know, the exposed turnbuckle was the first part, and then the Claymore kind of reenacting that through the announce table spot. They, as the commentary team did say, that was a completely legal move. So why was the ref in play there? I'm hoping, you know, kind of alluded to this on the SmackDown recap this week. I'm hoping that this is obviously going to play a part going forward with Drew and Cody. Drew's going to, you know, use this as momentum and fuel to get another match, if you will. And so definitely feels like, you know, from the contract signing, even that we're just kind of, this is the first chapter of this book. And so I think that is why the match kind of comes off as reserved a bit. I'm obviously a huge Cody fan, and even I, like, you know, this match just it wasn't anything special. And I think the reason for that is we're not done, and we're not anywhere close to done. But for this to be the main event of this first ESPN WWE thing that we're hitting on, that's going to be one of the big four worthy. This didn't feel like one of those main events, and I think you probably kind of put your foot in your mouth there with that, because I think even, you know, someone like me who loves Cody as well, you expect a bit more in this position if you're going to be the main event. I thought for sure maybe you know, we get something different, but really, you know, like you said, outside of that last few minutes, it wasn't. It didn't bring anything new to the table. Outside of the ref spots, which, you know, the crowd's chanting "Ref, you suck," valid. What else was there really to take away from that? So clearly, Drew's going to be hitting on that going forward, and yeah, that's really all there was to it, unfortunately. Yeah, I think we kind of mentioned, I think the mixed tag team probably would have been a spot for this. I think obviously the Vaquer Sky match would have been better here. Yeah, interesting to have this as the main event. Obviously, it has the title, but so did Vaquer and Sky. So, yeah, hindsight's always 2020, and I'm curious to see why WWE thought this had what it took to beat what had previously been on. In a main event, that's typically what you want from it. So, yeah, it's just kind of standard run of the mill. I think your SmackDown comparison, I maybe at least give it a Raw main event, weekly show main event. I didn't think it was as bad as a SmackDown main event. Had a little more to it, a little more time. Obviously, I know you don't mean exactly that, but yeah, with how big this event was supposed to be, it did feel like a very much lackluster anticlimactic main event. And I did give this one a 7 out of 10, which hearing myself graph that as much as I am now, it's maybe it didn't deserve a 7, but it wasn't a bad match. It just wasn't anything special either. So that's kind of where I go from it. And I think the expectations of this event kind of what bogs it down the most for me. Like I said, I think we're very very far away from the ending of this, and so I know that we'll right the ship and we'll ramp up the intensity. But for now and what we got, it just wasn't what it should have been. So with that, this is Wrestlepalooza reactions video. KP, I know it feels like, especially from your end, definitely more negatives than positive here. But as I kind of alluded to, this was supposed to be a huge event, worthy of a Big Four comparison. So let us know what your overall thoughts and highlights and not so highlights, negatives, if you will. And we'll go ahead and wrap this one up.
So at the start of the night, Triple H came out and announced that this would be the final form of sports entertainment. If that's really truly what this is, can we just go back a few forms? Because this isn't it. This is garbage. Yeah, this sucked. Like, generally speaking, I feel for the women. Stephanie Vaquer, iyosky, ajlee. Because besides that, sorry, excluding Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch went through emotions. There's no dig to her. She did nothing wrong. But besides the fact that Stephanie and Io put on a barnstormer, and ajlee is back in ring competition again now, what do we take from this? What do we actually take from it? Where do we go? The Vision is still strong. Okay, they were anyway. John Cena lost in stupid fashion. Go figure. Happened 11 years ago. ajlee and Punk, okay, they get a championship match going forward probably. So that's something. And then Cody and Drew, nothing's changed. So, yeah. We get a barnstormer from Stephanie Io, which was fantastic. Brand new Women's World Champion crown. That is absolutely the highlight of the night. It's the biggest thing that happened. But everything else just seems to, just fade in comparison. Like, it's just crazy. This is not the final form of sports entertainment. This was awful. This is genuinely terrible. Like, this is a Saturday Night's Main Event show. And they've just glamored it up with a Wrestlepalooza logo, which is also a terrible name. And they put it on a PLE where, we don't get ads during the matches, but we get ads in between them now. So, yeah, make of it what you will. It sucked, but it is what it is. And this is apparently what we're dealing with now. So this is the future. This is what form of, sports entertainment we're in now. Then, oh God, this is good. This is going to be tough. This is going to be rough. I gave it a 6 out of 10, and I was glad it was over.
I won't go Saturday night main event low. But again, I think the expectations brought on to you, and I know I've said that many times. We both have. The expectations brought on by Triple H in this for this event, I think really kind of bogged it down a bit. I think it still had a lot of entertaining matches. Obviously, I gave a match a perfect rating out of it, so it has to have some good things to it. I think a lot of the other things here, essentially, the meat of the sandwich of this PLE. So the second, third, and fourth match, I thought were a ton of fun and brought a lot of energy. The first and the last match did not, not so much. So unfortunately for WWE, who Triple H actually also said expect surprises for this event. Did I miss those? But anyways, yeah, I think the meat of this PLE was good. Unfortunately, the beginning and ending, which is what a lot of people usually remember most when they think of a PLE overall, they think of that first and the last thing you saw, and those usually are things that stick with you. Unfortunately for everyone involved, the first was pretty terrible, and the ending was just nothing special. So I think with that, you walk away thinking this wasn't very successful, especially considering those high expectations. So yeah, I will always WrestlePalooza for AJ Lee's return and that chaotic match, which was I thought a ton of fun. But then of course, Vaquer's beginning of her championship reign on main roster, her kind of breakout contest, if you will definitely be the highlight of this event, and that's what I'll walk away remembering it for. But in the grand scheme of things, yeah, you have to feel like this one was a bit of a letdown. I did give it a 7.2 out of 10, so a little higher. And like I said, I think I just enjoyed the event a little more. But as we kind of mentioned in the predictions video, I had super low expectations for this one because I just felt like after all the hyping they were doing, I just had this weird feeling that it wasn't going to quite live up to it. And so that's probably why I feel speaking a bit highly and feeling a little bit better about it. But with that, we will go ahead and wrap up this first chapter, this ESPN WWE entertainment chapter, if you will. Certainly room for improvement. I think that's fair to say. But we'll go ahead and swiftly move on from it. Obviously, this week we have Raw, NXT, and SmackDown to recap, and as well as the next NXT PLE this Saturday at No Mercy. So certainly have lots of things to look forward to. And we have been working on a WrestleMania project. That's continuing up as well, actually releasing our first videos tomorrow. That'll be September 22nd. So looking forward to that. We've been having a ton of fun with that as well. But if you disagree with anything that we put out here or agree or just have something to say, please let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button as well. That helps us out a bunch. But until next time, this has been The Push with Nick and KP. We'll see you soon. Take care.